Hello, everyone. Welcome to Avaya's Healthy Aging Curriculum. I am Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of Avaya University. Avaya is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you, as always, for being here. Our fellow teacher, Dr. Sally LaMont, is here today to talk with you about the secrets to healthy aging. Dr. Sally is a naturopathic doctor, an acupuncturist, educator, and cook with a prominent functional medicine practice at the Marin Natural Medicine Clinic in Larkspur, California. She focuses on healthy aging, digestive distress, metabolic and hormonal imbalances, prediabetes, dementia, through personalized natural treatment plans that address the root cause of those conditions. And among many other things, Dr. Sally loves to use food as medicine and shares cutting-edge strategies and recipes to beat chronic disease. Thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Sally.
My pleasure.
It's so exciting. I can't wait to dive into this. And I know you're a big foodie, clearly based on what you do. And we're going to talk about all sorts of fun things as it relates to aging. So I guess let's start with, like, what's the difference between healthy aging and anti-aging?
That is a good question. You know, I think healthy aging is honestly what it's all about. We need to focus on supporting our body's natural healing capacities more than fighting the natural process of life. There is no organism that gets out alive. Nothing lives forever. And, you know, while anti-aging might be popular in the skincare and, you know, cosmetic surgery end of things, I personally don't want to have bots floating around in my body looking for cancer. I want to do everything I can to support my body's natural anti-cancer mechanisms, our body's own supportive processes, and there are so many. So that's why I promote the concept of healthy aging.
I love that. That is, you know, it's an interesting thing as I've talked to so many people throughout this event. There is such a difference. And I think, one thing about like the really like kind of the language of anti-aging that when I see it, it's appealing, but at the same time, I'm like, well, wait a second, isn't it like normal that I'm 40, that I just turned 40 a few months ago? Isn't that like what's supposed to have happened, because it comes after 39 and then it'll be 41, right? It's like,
right.
The progression of life is like that. So it's an interesting, thing in the world of a mindset of like how we're looking at aging versus, yes, anti-aging. And is that, I think there's a difference between anti-aging and aging in a graceful way, in a healthy way, because we all are aging. But, you know, maybe you can, I don't know, you can slow down the process, I suppose, in various ways. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I mean, the way we've been raised to eat and live a sedentary lifestyle, highly refined and processed food, that expedites the aging process. So we want to unravel that diet and lifestyle that we've gotten into that actually promotes aging. And as we eat and live and move and think and relate in ways that our bodies are designed to do, that actually stimulates our body's natural healing capacities and extends our life, so that we want to go for a healthy lifespan and extend that lifespan as long as possible, as long as we are living with vitality in our 80s and 90s. And that happens by addressing some of these issues while we're in our 30s and 40s and 50s, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that's my experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, not putting off, right? It seems like it's a much more preventative approach than waiting until we have heart disease or dementia or whatever to change, you know, our lifestyle. So
exactly.
So, okay, so here's the next question. So why do you think it's important? I know that healthy aging is like a big focus of what you do. So why is it important that we need to focus on healthy aging now?
Well, it's because we, America, and ultimately the rest of the world is in the middle of a silent epidemic of chronic disease. You know, right now, what's in the news is the coronavirus, and we're all worried about that epidemic. But we actually have so much bigger of an epidemic going on right now. According to the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, that tracks all these diseases, 6 in 10 Americans have one chronic disease, and 40%, or another 4 in 10, have 2 or more chronic diseases. And and by chronic diseases, I mean heart disease, diabetes, dementia, cancer. Those are the main ones. And, you know, it's like a third of our nation is diabetic, and another third is pre-diabetic. Heart disease is claiming the lives of almost 100,000 people, almost 1 million people per year. 122 million Americans have heart disease. I mean, these numbers are pretty staggering. 70% of the deaths in the US each year are caused by one of that cluster of chronic diseases. And even worse, those facts about our health are bankrupting our country to the tune of $3 trillion we spend annually just managing those conditions. I mean, imagine what we could do if we actually took charge of our health and changed our lifestyles. And we honestly could, as you said a little earlier, we could get on it and prevent a lot of these problems from ever happening by addressing their root causes. And that's what I love doing. You know, I kind of feel like we've grown up in a disease management system, not a true healthcare system. And we've been applying the disease management, kind of the acute crisis healthcare model to a chronic disease problem. And so we really need to shift things. And it really starts with us taking charge of our health.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. And yes, disease management as opposed to, right, healthcare or health promoting or any of that kind of stuff. So what are healthy aging secrets to you? That's the title of this talk today and a big part of your work. So what are some of those secrets?
Well, I think I have a few of them. And the first one I want people to really understand is that our bodies are naturally self-healing. I mean, this is what we are designed to do. We just happen to live in a way that kind of doesn't manifest our body's self-healing capacities. But, you know, you personally are in charge of one of the most sophisticated organisms on the planet. And we have 11 organ systems within us that are in constant communication with hormones and neurotransmitters and all these feedback mechanisms, kind of an internal guidance system that are designed to keep our body in homeostatic balance. You know, we just have this resilient life force in us that when we actually support, everything works better. It's been estimated that we have 37 billion chemical reactions happening in our body every single second.
Oh my God.
And that's a staggering amount of interconnectivity at play, trying to keep the body functioning optimally. And so my message is, let's get in there and really support that. Now, another one of my favorite secrets to healthy aging is to help us understand the true meaning of symptoms. You know, I grew up in the Midwest in the 50s and 60s, and when you got a headache, you were taught to take an aspirin. If you get a cold, you take an antibiotic. And now we know that doesn't even work for viruses. But we've kind of been taught to think symptoms, pill. And if we kind of step back and look what a symptom is really, then we can take a different approach. I see symptoms as a message from your body to your mind that something needs to change. You know, our organ systems are speaking to us in the only language they know, and that's symptoms. So one of the ways you can recognize that your stomach is not feeling right after you drank that double espresso is to actually listen to it, and don't just reach for a Tums because it hurts, but instead think, well, what did I just do? Oh, oops, a really acidic double espresso with a croissant. Well, no wonder I've got some heartburn. That's the body saying, hello, listen to me, respond with tender, loving care instead of just kind of slapping down that symptom so you can go on and keep going. So I want to encourage people to listen and respond to the messages that their body is sending them through symptoms. And then when you do, you have a lot of choices that are going to, jumpstart your body's self-healing capacities. I got a couple more. Should I keep going?
Yes, please carry on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Another real secret to healthy aging is in your mind. The way you think about your health really matters. So if you're constantly telling yourself, well, I'm old now, so I can't do that. I won't take the stairs anymore, or I'm old, so I'll get somebody else to do this for me. That just sends us, further down the way. I see people who are retiring at 65, and that's kind of like, okay, well, now I'm officially old. And I just want to call a little BS on that and say, let's make a mind shift. I once heard it said that aging is the result of the massive disuse of the body and the mind. And I couldn't agree more. So I want to just tell you about a little Yale study where they tracked 660 people over 20 years. And they found that thinking positively about getting older could extend their lifespan by 7.5 years. And that was after counting for gender and wealth and overall health. So if you see the glass half full, it's going to play a bigger role, they found, than low blood pressure and cholesterol and even smoking. So catch yourself when you say, well, I'm 50 now, so I get to, start to take it easy. I say when you're 50, that's time to take a really good look at your health, at your lifestyle, and start to kick into gear. And that leads me to what I think of the biggest secret of all to healthy aging is that you are ultimately in charge of your own health. And I want to inspire you to start to think like a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor, and that's to look for the root cause of what's going on and then listen and respond to your health. I want you to know your numbers. So when somebody asks you, hey, how's your blood pressure? It's great. It's 120 over 80. And how's your cholesterol? I got it in mark. And how is your blood sugar? You know that your blood sugar is under control. And then you're not one of that 60% of Americans that's either pre-diabetic or diabetic. And most of them don't even know it. So let's take charge and own our own health. Really watch the way we speak to ourselves about the aging process, listen to our symptoms, and energize our body's really powerful self-healing capacities.
I love it. Thank you. That is a very inspiring message that I too agree with. And absolutely, it's a very empowering thing to understand that, right, we can all take charge of our health and be responsible for our health, right? And obviously,
absolutely,
things happen in life, but as a whole, right, we can all, take charge of that. And I love it. So what about, you mentioned the root cause. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What are the root cause drivers of chronic disease? If this is right, this is such an epidemic in our time, something that we're seeing more and more of. So what are some of those root causes?
Yeah. So I've broken it down into six major root cause drivers. And the first one is inflammation.
Mm.
And, inflammation it's one of those things that our body has built in. Inflammation is natural. It should, it's characterized by redness and swelling and pain and heat. When you've sprained an ankle, that's how things feel, but that should be short-lived, and within a week or 10 days, 2 weeks, quiet back down. What we have going on here is something different. That's chronic inflammation. And it's kind of like a fire smoldering in your cells that moves the body in the direction of aging rapidly. All of those chronic diseases that I spoke about, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia, inflammation is at their core. So we want to learn to put out the fire by eating an anti-inflammatory style diet, managing our stress levels, getting adequate sleep and movement. And we'll talk more about those fundamental processes we need to engage in to turn things around. But inflammation is a primary driver. Another one is blood sugar dysregulation. We are still all struggling with the sugar industry's grip on our life. I mean, you can't walk in to get a green tea at Starbucks without having to stare at a giant case of attractive pastries. And even though you're gluten-free and know better, you still have a little conversation in your mind about, no, I really won't have that today because that's not what I want or need ultimately. So this, what you might call glycotoxicity, or sugar that's just constantly rising, that leads to diabetes, and it promotes inflammation. That's one of the primary drivers of inflammation, is too high blood sugar. Another one that's really important is hormonal imbalances. And that starts to show up when we're perimenopausal and menopausal, and andropause happens in you guys too. So around 50 is when our hormones shift, and the communication between our brain and our thyroid, our adrenals, and our sex steroid hormones, it begins to shift. And ultimately, those sex steroid hormones coming out of the ovaries and testes are going to stop being produced. And that was okay when reproduction was all that really mattered for the survival of humans. People died in their 40s and 50s, that they were old if they made it that long. But now we're going to live, the average lifespan is 78, 79 in women, and it's growing. So I think we have to ask ourselves, how do we want to be that last half of our life once we lose those hormones? Not everybody is a candidate for bioidentical hormone replacement as they age, but many people are. And you have to get started in that first 10 years after menopause if you're a woman. So have a consult with your doctor. And if you need to find a more open-minded one, please do. The Institute for Functional Medicine and the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians both have find a practitioner sites, sections that you can go find doctors who do think outside of the box and can offer you a way to balance your hormones. And it's really important. So many Americans have low thyroid, and they're running around really sluggish and putting on weight, and constipated, and their hair's falling out, and their skin's dry, and they're fatigued. And that is so fixable by just a teeny little amount of thyroid hormone. So this is a place where I say, know your numbers. If things don't feel right, go to your doctor and learn what optimal is, learn where you are, and get your hormones balanced. Next, nutritional deficiencies. Now, obviously, with the way we eat and live here in America, and our soil and food system that's been ravaged by chemicals and pesticides, antibiotics, many people don't have the nutrients that they need. And when we have nutritional deficiencies, those 37 billion chemical reactions that are happening every second in our body, they just don't run right. And that results in, cellular aging. Two more quick ones. Digestive dysfunction. Thinking of antibiotics, most people have had their gut flora pretty decimated, really by the time they're in their 20s or 30s. And as we age, we don't even have, these 100 trillion organisms that live in us. They're not in balance anymore. So we suffer from leaky gut, and that leads to food sensitivities and many other problems. So it's essential that we get our digestion fixed. And finally, we've got to deal with toxicity. We have heavy metals like mercury in our mouth, and so many different pesticides, hormones, antibiotics. And we suffer from viral infections and Lyme. All these different, you could call them toxins, weigh on our system. And, in combination, those set of 6 drivers really can account for a whole lot of the aging too rapidly problem we're suffering from.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for diving into those and giving people a little overview of what they might want to take on in this process. So you also talk in your work about 4 pillars of healthy aging. What are those?
Well, I think of, like 4 legs on a chair. To keep everything steady and balanced, we have to have balance between the 4 pillars, and they are food, using food as medicine, using movement as medicine, having rest, and finally connection. So those are the 4 big ones. Yeah, the way we eat, move, rest, and connect. Obviously, you and I both believe that food is a primary medicine, and I want to make sure that everybody's got a plant-based diet going. Plants have compounds in them beyond vitamins and minerals and calories and fiber. They have what we call phytonutrients. Those are the pigments that make tomatoes red and cabbage purple and chard green. And those phytochemicals actually talk to our genes and optimize their function. And that's one of the greatest ways that we can prevent disease. So whether you decide to be a vegetarian and not have any animal protein, or whether you are somebody who has the experience that they're going to thrive when they have adequate protein, either way, you have to have a plant-based diet full of whole foods, not all the refined and processed junk. So go for 7 to 9 servings of veggies and fruit a day. Sounds like a lot, but our own USDA says that we need to eat that many, and almost no one does. It's less than 10% of the public that actually does that. And then rolling on into movement as medicine, did you know that less than 10% of Americans over 65 exercise at all? I mean, that's no wonder, because being sedentary, it's the opposite of what we need to do. We are designed to move. I mean, we wouldn't have got here if we sat around in our butts in a cave. We had to fight for our survival. And now that we've got computers and Netflix and, food delivery, it's just really easy to kind of plant yourself and forget about the benefits of movement. And in fact, it's been said that if they could find a drug that did everything that exercise did, it would be a blockbuster. So let's just get up off of that couch.
I know. I feel like we should do some movements right now.
Do a little happy dance right now. But go ahead.
I was just saying, that's another huge passion of mine, and most people watching right now know that because I talk about it a lot. But once you I think allow yourself to get, even if you're not enjoying it now, right? Allow yourself the time and space to start enjoying moving. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's so
it is. It's fun, and it raises our endorphin levels. So if you are a little on the, feeling depressed and downside, and with all the junk going on in the world today, it's easy to get there. That's where you get up and do like the Italians do. They've done some studies and shown that 15 minutes of walking 3 times a day after meals is often, I mean, it's obviously better than nothing. And while we might go climb a mountain or, do a Peloton bike, just getting up and getting off of the chair or the couch and walking for 15 minutes 3 times a day massively changes our body's chemistry and points us in the direction of health.
Beautiful.
And then rest. I mean, most Americans are completely under-rested and are running around pretty stressed with chronic fatigue, and that feeds the dysfunction. So I really promote people establishing a sleep ritual of setting a regular bedtime. Don't go to bed at 10 o'clock one night and midnight another and 2 or 3 another night, because that throws the body's natural circadian rhythm way off. We've discovered that organs like the pancreas, which creates insulin, essentially goes to sleep, if you will, around 8 p.m. It really downregulates its function. So if you have a pint of ice cream before you go to bed, that gets turned right into calories and fat, and it gets turned into fat, and it doesn't allow your body to go into that regenerative process that happens at night, where the brain's housekeeping functions kick on and help us store new memories, and the gut heals. So I know I could just keep going, but I'll say finally, connection is that final piece that we really want to get in place. Establishing a good, healthy relationship with ourselves, feeling some kind of connection to the universe, to a higher power, to whatever that you call that connection, and then to our communities. We just cannot make it alone. We really need our network. And when you plug all 4 of those pillars of healthy aging in together, the system thrives, and we can really extend our lifespan and our health span.
I love it. Those are awesome 4 pillars. And just a little note on the connection piece. It reminds me of, my partner Ike and I often talk about, we have 2 one teenager and one almost teenager. And we talk about like the social media world and how, this was something that was developed to connect us, but obviously it seems to be doing quite the opposite and disconnecting. And it's so important. I get the chills just thinking about how important it is to connect. And yes, we're doing this digitally right now, but I feel you, and I can connect to you. And I hope everyone gets that and goes beyond just the Facebook profile and the Instagram and whatever, and gets out and bees with people, because it's so important.
Amen.
Yeah. So tell us about your healthy aging reset. I know you have a program, a healthy aging reset, and you also have something called the ADAPT protocol to promote healthy aging. What are those?
Yeah. So, after years of wishing that everybody, all of my patients and the public, really had a foundation in health promotion, I put together a process that I call ADAPT, and have built a digital course, the Healthy Aging Reset, around that. And so ADAPT just basically stands for, first, accessing our inner healer and assessing our health, getting a real good look up front about where we are and where we want to go. Then diving into those drivers, that's the D of ADAPT, understanding those drivers, which ones are promoting your health or creating poor health, and then addressing those drivers with the 4 pillars of healthy aging. And then putting together a plan. In my course, because not everybody can come in and be my patient, and I want this course to reach out to the people in the Midwest who may not have access to what we have on the coasts. We need to put together a health plan so that you can go to your doctor and say, hey, I don't know if we've had any of these tests done. I'd like to have a C-reactive protein drawn and find out if I have inflammation. And I want to know what my hemoglobin A1C is. Am I pre-diabetic? And, really start to take an active interest. And then finally, track and continue over time to optimize your health with a health team that you put together. And that's what the Healthy Aging Reset is all about. It's a online course you can take like this in the privacy of your own home, and yet have support of a community that we're growing to help you build your health.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing about that. And I also know you have a free gift for everybody today who's watching or listening. So there's a button below this video that links right over there. So could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes. So I put together a wonderful little, just very few short pages called 10 Healthy Aging Hacks You Can Use Today. And it's a good read, it's an easy read, and it's an inspiring and motivating read. And when you go to my website, which is Dr. Sally's Kitchen, and that's drsallyskitchen.com, you'll find a button there where you can subscribe and get that 10 Healthy Aging Hacks ebook. But you can also I have a lot of great recipes, and I put out a blog post every week or two that's really filled with important information along this line to help you keep fine-tuning your health so that you really can age healthfully and gracefully.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love it. And everyone, again, there's that button below, so you can just click right through and head over to Dr. Sally's site. Are there any last insights? Anything else you want to leave people with before we hop off?
Well, I just want you all to know what's possible and to have a vision for your health that is greater than the one you might have been raised to think, like we get old and we get sick and then we die. I think we can get old and I think we can build our health in the process. I'm 66 and I am healthier now, I swear, than I was 10 years ago, because the symptoms start to creep up and you go, whoa, now it's not the direction I want to go. So I want to inspire you to just jump in and learn and take better care of yourself, and you will feel the difference.
I would never have guessed the 66. That's amazing. You look amazing. You exude amazing health, and that's just awesome.
Well, I have been practicing what I preach since I got out of naturopathic medical school almost 40 years ago. So it does pay off.
It's working.
It's working, and it can work for you too. So,
awesome.
Andy, thank you for letting me join you today.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And everyone watching who's tuned into this, thank you so much for showing up for yourself, for loving yourself enough to get these healthy aging tips and strategies, and for being with us on the journey. So we'll see you again real soon. Take care, everybody.